everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Physical Media. This is the weekly news show where you guessed it, we talk about all the news in the world of physical media. And it wasn't the busiest news week in the world, but what we did get announced was pretty exciting. But we're going to start off with what's not coming to 4K Blu-ray anymore, because KINO LORBER, unfortunately, is going to be continuing in a trend that I wish they weren't continuing in, and that's in delaying and canceling 4K Blu-rays that they've announced are coming to 4K Blu-ray. And, earlier this year, they announced that Daylight and Dante's Peak were going to be delayed, even though they had already shipped some of them to some people. We don't still know why. KINO LORBER doesn't usually announce the reasons for this, but it got delayed. Supposedly, they're still coming. They're complete. There's no issues with the disc. I'm guessing some sort of rights issues. I've heard things about it being a deal with the writer of those two movies. I'm not entirely sure. Again, because they don't come out and just outright say, hey, this is what's going on. It just leaves us to speculate. And it's really unfortunate because KINO LORBER has had things like this happen in the past and very recently. And it just leads me to think, you know what? Don't announce that a movie's coming to 4K Blu-ray until you have it ready to go to 4K Blu-ray, because this just happens way too often. At the end of last year, we also heard that Lost in Translation, the Sofia Coppola film, arguably her best film, starring Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, was going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Then, about a year and a half later, they announced that it's not coming to 4K Blu-ray, and for some reason, something happened, and it's not coming to 4K Blu-ray. Then the rumors start that Sofia Coppola was going to be taking Lost in Translation over to the Criterion Collection, and that was the reason why. But the problem is that KINO LORBER loves to announce these movies are coming to 4K Blu-ray, they're working on new scans, and then, about a year goes by, and it's like, oh, no, we're canceling it. And that's exactly what happened this week. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, the first film from Guy Ritchie, and Hard 8, the first film from Paul Thomas Anderson, which were announced for 4K Blu-rays, will no longer be coming to 4K Blu-ray. They were canceled by KINO LORBER. The only one that was confirmed was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but I heard both of these films are no longer coming to 4K Blu-ray, and that's very disappointing, because Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is a fantastic film. It's actually one of the only films I ever had to watch that's in English that I had to watch with subtitles. That accent was just too thick for me, and either way or though, it's still a very enjoyable film. Hard 8, it's Paul Thomas Anderson's first film. It's the first time he's teaming up with Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's a fantastic movie that it would have been nice for a lot of people to see on 4K Blu-ray. Now, I don't know if these movies will be coming to 4K Blu-ray from another studio. I'm not too sure what's going on, but it's just a very bad look for KINO LORBER, and I love KINO LORBER. I actually have a KINO LORBER 4K Blu-ray sitting right here. I have Sneakers on 4K Blu-ray that I'm going to review this week. They bring a lot of movies that other studios usually wouldn't bring to 4K Blu-ray to the 4K Blu-ray market, but I don't know if they're having financial issues. Maybe there's something with the cost of the rights to these movies. I'm not entirely sure. Again, they're not being very forward with us and letting us know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. It just leaves us to speculate, and I wish we didn't have to speculate. I wish there was a good reason for what's going on, but unfortunately, I don't have a good reason to bring to you guys, and it's just really disappointing. And I think KINO LORBER can avoid a lot of this stuff by just not announcing that you're working on a new scan for these films until the scan is ready. But you know what? That doesn't stop them from delaying or canceling a 4K Blu-ray, because again, look at Daylight and Dante's Peak. Like, those 4K Blu-rays were done, they were shipped to some people, and then you delayed them for whatever reason. So I don't know if they're having financial issues in this, and that's what's causing all of these rights issues. I'm not entirely sure. I wish I had more information for you guys, but I just come to you guys a little bit disappointed today, because I really did want Hard 8 and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels on 4K Blu-ray. Hopefully I got more information for you guys in the coming weeks, but that is very disappointing. But let's move on to some 4K Blu-rays that are definitely coming out. And the first one is To Catch a Thief is going to be getting a 4K Steelbook release. This had a Paramount Presents release, I believe, last year. It's one of Alfred Hitchcock's best films, especially from, I believe, the 1950s. That's going to be getting a 4K Steelbook release. Paramount, I've seen them do this in the past, so their Paramount Presents lines gets a standard 4K Blu-ray release like Chinatown and Once Upon a Time in the West. But I don't know if this is the first time that they've gone from doing a Paramount Presents line to a 4K Steelbook. Very strange, but it does seem like the 4K Blu-ray market is definitely, here in the United States at least, shifting towards 4K Steelbooks, because we keep getting 4K Steelbooks announced, but not new standard editions. Another example of this is the 4K Blu-ray for Fury, which is a film that a lot of people love. Deals with tank warfare, stars Shia LaBeouf. Not one of my personal favorite movies. It's directed by David Ayer. This is really what kind of got him Suicide Squad. The first Suicide Squad movie was people loved the movie Fury. That's going to be getting a 4K Blu-ray release. Not one of my personal favorite movies, but I'm glad to see it getting that 4K Steelbook release. The Way of the Gun is another one that's going to be getting a 4K Steelbook release as well from Lionsgate. So these two are confirmed, but Lionsgate Limited, the rumors start to trickle out about that. Like, what movies are we going to be getting from Lionsgate Limited in the upcoming months? And the rumors for this one are pretty damn exciting in my opinion. The first one being Daybreakers, which is, it's got a pretty big cult hit, but then the big one is Frailty. Now, this is the only film ever directed by Bill Paxton. I believe it was 2000 when this movie came out, and it stars Matthew McConaughey, and it is a fantastic horror mystery film that the ending will definitely leave you shocked if you've never seen it. Frailty is one of the most underrated horror films ever, in my opinion, so I hope that rumor is true, but I'm glad to see that Lionsgate, besides just doing their Lionsgate Limited line of 4K Steelbooks, I'm glad to see that they're still just doing regular 4K Blu-rays as well, and just other 4K Steelbooks, working with other companies. So The Way of the Gun is going to be coming a 4K Steelbook as well. And then we talked about Dogma a couple weeks ago. Speaking of 4K Steelbooks, Kevin Smith basically confirmed that Dogma will be coming to 4K Steelbook. That lines up pretty well with how Kevin Smith has been doing his physical media releases lately. Physical media releases have actually really been funding Kevin Smith's projects, like Clerks 3. He talked about how the 4K Blu-ray deal with Lionsgate really helped lead to a lot of his movies getting funded. And that just goes to show you the importance of physical media still to this day. Yeah, maybe Kevin Smith is an anomaly, but it's pretty cool to hear that the physical media releases for such 4K Blu-rays as Clerks 3, which does have that beautiful Lionsgate Steelbook, are actually helping these movies get off the ground, because Dogma 2, he said he's about halfway through that script, but either way, or we're going to get that re-release in theaters. Right now, he's taking Dogma on the road. That's kind of where this announcement came to be, so I'm not too surprised that Dogma will be getting a 4K Steelbook release. I just cannot wait to get my hands on that brand new scan. Dogma is just a fantastic Kevin Smith movie, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, because it's been so hard to see over the years, will finally get a chance to see the best Kevin Smith movie on 4K Steelbook. So I'm really excited about that. But again, just showing you how the 4K market is really leaning into the Steelbooks. There's a couple of movies, though, that are going to be released on August 5th. We keep talking about Sunset Boulevard. It's finally up for pre-order. It's got the box art up, which you guys can check out now. It's really just a movie poster for me. That is perfect. I like what they did there. They also announced Paramount. They're going to be doing a 4K Blu-ray release for its 40th anniversary. Better Off Dead, starring John Cusack. John Cusack, I've said here in the past, I'll say it again, not one of my personal favorite actors. I enjoy him sometimes. There's always an exception to the rule, like 1408, I think is fantastic. But for the most part, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest John Cusack fan. But you know what? This movie, a lot of people are excited about it. It looks like a standard 4K Blu-ray release. Pretty happy for those people. So Better Off Dead will also be available on 4K Blu-ray on August 5th. And one thing that's been going on lately in the 4K Blu-ray market is these brand new scans that are being done. They're being hyped up. They're showing them at the Cannes Film Festival, or they're showing them on the Disney lot. A good example of this is Hard Boiled, the John Woo film, which we know is going to be getting a physical media release down the line. We talked about the Hong Kong Cinema Classics line from Shout Studios last week. Well, they're showing off that brand new scan of the John Woo classic Hard Boiled at the Cannes Film Festival. I believe it was closing out the classic films portion of that film festival, showing off this brand new scan, which is awesome. I know it's getting a digital release first, then it's going to get the physical media release, but this is one of the greatest Hong Kong films of all time. It's arguably John Woo's best film. I know people out there will argue about that, but it is a cornerstone of especially the Hong Kong action market, but just in action films in general. There's a reason why Hollywood pursued John Woo so much, and it's because of films like Hard Boiled. So that movie getting its brand new 4K scan is awesome. Also, on July 3rd, on the Disney lot, I believe, they are going to be showing off the brand new scan of Tron on 4K, and I can't wait to hear about this one, which will lead to a 4K Blu-ray release sometime later in the year. The rumor is not only Tron, but also Tron Legacy, and they're releasing them to hype up, to promote the brand new Tron movie that's going to be coming out later this year as well. There's no better way to promote a sequel than to, release new scans of the previously released films, which are very beloved. Personally, I think the original Tron is still better, but you guys know how I feel about 80s films. The Tron Legacy film is fine. I still think Jeff Bridges looks weird as hell when they de-aged him. This is really when the new de-aging technology was being just overused. I recently rewatched Rogue One, and Peter Cushing, I remember when I saw that in theaters, I was like, why are people complaining about the anti-aging technology. He looked great. I rewatched Rogue One this past week. He does not look great. That technology has not aged well. It just goes to show how CGI can play with our minds, or how technology in the moment can really play with our minds. I always see those memes online about people playing like an old Madden game from like 2004 and being like, I can't imagine these graphics getting any better. And you look at them now and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking in 2004? But that's just the human mind. It can't imagine better, unfortunately. And, you know, when you watch stuff in the moment, it seems great. Then you watch it 10 years later, you're like, yeah, Peter Cushing definitely doesn't look like a real human being there. So, you know, it's something that unfortunately did hurt Tron Legacy in the moment, but that Daft Punk soundtrack is fantastic. So either way, or I can't wait for both movies to come, the 4K Blu-ray. I don't really have my hopes too high for the new Tron movie. We'll just have to wait and see. Feels a little bit like a cash grab, but hey, every film feels like a cash grab from Disney sometimes. Let's just hope that it's a pretty damn good movie. Either way, or I'm glad that they're taking these new 4K scans, putting them in theaters, showing them off. Hopefully they start doing this with, you know, expanding it, like re-release Tron in theaters for everyone. They've been doing it a little bit more, like one-day releases for like Kingdom of Heaven gets a May 14th release in theaters for only one day. It'd be cool if it was like in there for a week. I think theaters are starting to get the message. Look at how Rogue One made $25 million in a one-week re-release. That's insane. It was only $20 million less than the #1 movie at the box office. And this movie is 20 years old. And believe me, in 2005, that wasn't the most beloved movie. It really took the Star Wars Disney films to really make people notice how good the prequel series was. I'm still not the world's biggest prequel fan. I still think episodes 1 and 2 are not very good. But I always liked episode 3, and I'm really glad to see it finally getting its flowers. Hayden Christensen not getting the hate that he got, because people need to remember they did send a lot of hate his way. I'm glad that people finally have come around on it. Did it take like a horrible trilogy of movies to do that? Unfortunately, yes, even though I disagree. I still think that The Force Awakens is a great one, and Rogue One's a great one too, despite Peter Cushing looking like an alien in that movie. But either way, or I hope they keep doing this. Getting excited about these new 4K scans, because the more excitement around these new 4K scans will just lead to new physical media releases for us. I don't love the thing of re-releasing the same 4K scans over and over in new packaging. Another example of this is Ran is getting its 40th anniversary 4K Blu-ray release from 1985. It already has a 4K Blu-ray release, but they're hyping this one up. I don't think it adds anything but beautiful new packaging. The packaging is new and beautiful, but is it adding anything to it? I'm not somebody who likes to double dip on packaging just because you're not getting anything new. It's how I felt. I know that me and David have been talking about this a lot behind the scenes. Like with those new Vice releases for like such movies as The Shining and Poltergeist, some of my all-time favorite films, I just don't know if I could ever justify buying something over and over again, unless it's like an absolute favorite of mine, which David has argued Poltergeist is one of my absolute favorite films, and he's not wrong, but it already has a great 4K Steelbook release. So it's just hard for me to justify, because I could just go buy another movie on 4K Blu-ray, and for me, the film is the juice. Like, that's what comes first and foremost. For some people, it's the packaging, but if I don't care about the movie, there's no reason for me to give a shit about the packaging, and that's just how I've always felt. And for me, if I could buy more movies, I want to just consume more movies. Physical media is the best way to do it, in my opinion, but I'm not somebody who's going to go out of their way and buy a movie that they don't necessarily love, and I'm definitely not going to rebuy a movie over and over again. When money is this tight, I would rather just buy another movie on 4K Blu-ray, even if it's one that I don't necessarily love. Give it a try, because hey, you never do know. Maybe it's been years and opinions change. That's the beauty of film. That's why film is so subjective. So I'm going to end the show right there. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Let's Talk Physical Media. If you did, don't forget to throw it a like, throw it a subscribe, share this video if you could. We have channel memberships, guys, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer like John Doe Juggalo, a director like Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, Kevin Kruger, Uncle V, and of course Nicholas Head. And then we got our channel bankroll member, Mr. Smelly Potato, helping to fund this bad boy. You guys can jump up to that tier as well. Look for all the perks in the description below. But of course, guys, no pressure at all. All I really hope is you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.